Hey guys, so it's pretty awesome. Right now I'm done with work and I have tomorrow's Christmas Eve, then Christmas, then Saturday, and then Sunday. So 4 days where I'm just gonna be totally focused on working here and of course spending time with my family and wife because it's gonna be Christmas. But it's gonna be fun. I can like catch up on stuff and I'm gonna make a couple more videos throughout this time. This video is about a question that comes to me from time to time, and whenever I get a question from a customer or from someone that is trying to start a brand, I note it down in my head or on my phone and I try to make a video about it so then you guys can see it, and then people in the future, they won't have to ask the question, or if they do, I can just send them the video. And I've mentioned this in the previous videos before. That's kind of like what I do, and it's easy that way. That way I can give someone a really long explanation by sending them a video, right? Rather than typing it all out. So today I wanted to talk about 4 reasons why you are not making sales in your clothing brand. And this is what I've learned from personal experience almost 4 years in. So the first reason is that you don't have the right target market. And what I mean by this is you have your brand, right? But you're targeting it towards a group of people that aren't receptive to the brand, right? So for instance, my brand, I wouldn't go out and spend advertising dollars or like man hours working on marketing my brand towards like teenage girls that are into like Gucci and Chanel and stuff like that. That kind of target market, that like makeup and all that stuff. They're probably not receptive to the brand, they're probably not really gonna get it or be interested into it. On the flip side, there could be an audience that's really into history. They like guns and stuff like that. So, they're gun enthusiasts or military enthusiasts. They like airsoft, stuff like that. That it kind of makes more sense with like what my image of the brand is trying to be, and they're more receptive towards that. There's some brands like Supreme, and that's like they have a really large target market because they make such a variety of pieces that a lot of people will like, and they can market it to different segments. And what you also can do within your brand is you can figure out what specific markets to target towards, because you can have like a variety of ones. There are some brands that are super niche and they target just a very, very small sliver of people, and then there's brands that are wider and they can target more and more. You kind of have to figure out, you have to sit down and figure out like who exactly am I targeting, right? Is your brand kind of about skating and you kind of are more into that scene? Is it more like sportswear, like like athletics, stuff like that? Like for instance, Nike, one of their biggest demographics is like athletes, right? So they make most of their clothes targeted towards athletes. They do, however, make other types of clothes that are marketed towards other segments, right? Like for instance, they have Nike SB, and that's just for skateboarding, and they have their own style and their own like flavor for that, right? And part of having the target market is the price. So you can have the right target market, but if your price is too high or too low, it could be a problem. If it's too low, your target market might be like, oh, is this really a good quality brand? I'm not really into it. Because in a sense, you have to keep the product like affordable, but just barely out of reach, where it's like if they like buy it, they're like, oh wow, I'm so happy to get this product, right? I like saved up for it. I'm looking forward to getting it because it's not like expensive, but it's in a good price range, right? So for instance, if your target market is people that are in college, like 18 to 24-year-olds, you might not want to be selling like a luxury product that you're selling $300 t-shirts to them, right? Because not all those people can necessarily afford that, especially since they're in college, unless you're targeting like really affluent people that are in college, because there are like people that come from wealthy backgrounds and they buy stuff like that, and they have parents that give them that kind of stuff. So you really have to sit down and figure out your target market. The second point is that why you're not getting sales is that there's not enough buzz around your brand. This one is one of the hardest things to achieve when you start your clothing brand, and it's almost harder to maintain it, to be honest, because you constantly have to be innovating and, you know, making new products, making new designs, staying on the edge, staying relevant, you know, and but being unique too. And what I mean by creating buzz is that you want to be in the social sphere, you know. You want to have people buying your stuff and wearing it. You want to have their friends seeing them wear it and then they buy it. Another thing could be like you have celebrities or influencers that get your clothes and they kind of create a buzz around it. And part of this buzz, and the easiest way to generate it is on social media, right? For right now in this day and age, you could, you know, do that through manually finding people on Instagram. That's the free way to do it. You can do it through advertising and getting it to a really broad audience, so, you know, a lot of people's eyes are on it. But this one, like, creating buzz around your brand is super important, because without that, it's really not going to go anywhere, especially like in the streetwear market, because the whole hype and the cool factor, that is a part of it. Like if you, let's say you made pillows or something like that, it's probably not the most important thing to like hype up your brand that much, because, you know, people buy pillows, but they're not like, oh, which is the coolest brand of pillow, right? They just basically look out for quality and stuff like that. And that's actually one of the points, but that'll be the last point. So the next point is the concept. Another big issue that I see with people that sometimes ask me like, oh, what do you think of my brand? Or, you know, why am I not getting sales? This one, it's a little bit, it might hurt some people, to be honest. Like if you want like raw feedback and you're asking like, hey, what do you think of my brand? This one is like the most personal one, because sometimes people put a lot of energy and time into creating a brand, but it's so amorphous. It's so like indistinguishable. There's nothing like eye-catching about it. Like your brand concept doesn't make any sense. If your brand concept doesn't make any sense, then that means you're not going to have a target market. And if you don't have that target market, then you're not going to create that buzz, right? So there's a whole chain of events when you don't have the correct concept and you're really like pushing that, right? And this is kind of similar to finding the right target market, because like for instance, Nike, their concept is heavily centered around athletics. So the way they design their clothes and the way they market the clothes and all that stuff, that is all designed around the concept. There's some people and they make brands and they just like, they don't really ground their brand into anything like solid, right? They pick something that is too personal that no one's really gonna understand, and it has to be like, you want to target a niche, but you want it to be broad enough where people will understand it, right? So for instance, in my brand, it's, you know, it's really targeted around like history and the Cold War theme and all that stuff, like militarism, and, you know, how that time period in the world, like, you know, changed the world, right? So that has so many avenues that I could take, and it's sometimes it's almost a problem, because like I have so many ideas about what I want to do for each month. It gets a little bit overwhelming, because I could go with it so many ways, because my concept is really a worldwide thing, a worldwide issue that still even has ramifications today, because this is just a history lesson. So after World War II, the Cold War began, right? And that basically restructured the entire world. There were so many countries that began after that and collapsed, and America, you know, they totally changed the way they thought about like how they did stuff in life. They became very militarized, and the industries changed, right? And the culture changed, and the same thing happened for the USSR. And then there's the ideological clash, right? There's communism and capitalism. So like the whole world was like centered around those two ideologies and its subsets, right? But that's just a history lesson. So you really want to get your concept grounded down. It doesn't have to be like extremely laser focused. Like you don't have to just stick with one thing, but you kind of want to, like, you know, still have a core. Like, for instance, there's skatewear brands like Thrasher, and that's their core, right? That doesn't mean that they're always going to make stuff that's purely about skateboarding, but you know, that's their base, and they, you know, have a large audience from that. The last thing, it's kind of like about quality and your reputation and customer service. Sometimes you can have a brand that starts to pick up, but you really lack in quality, so you will get sales, but then people don't come back. If you don't have a lot of if your brand is, you know, is going well and stuff, but you're really not having like repeat customers after a year or two, that probably means something's wrong with your brand. It could be the quality, it could be the buzz, stuff like that. You really want to have some level of quality where people can wear the product, enjoy it, and then they want to come back for more because you're making, you know, good designs and you have a reputation for delivering, right? I see this all the time. There's brands that just don't deliver. They say, oh, I'm gonna get your product out, and then they literally wait like 4 months. And I'm not talking about like, so right now we have COVID, right? Unfortunately for international customers, they have to wait a little bit longer because shipping times are slower. But you know, in the past where shipping times are normal, there'd be people and they'd literally take like 4 or 5 months to get a product to their door. And that's really not good for you to find and maintain customers because that's too long. No one needs to wait that long for packages. Although, like I said, it's a little bit different with COVID right now, unfortunately. And you really, like I said, you want to maintain the level of quality and reputation. So if you say you're going to do something, try your absolute best to deliver on that promise. Like, for instance, on my website, it says, and this is like one of my main business tenets, I try my best to ship products out within 24 hours. So you place an order, and within 1 day, it's usually less, your order will be shipped out. And there's a couple exceptions for that, like weekends and stuff like that. But that's kind of like what I live by, and I try to hold myself to that. So that means, let's say like I want to hang out with my wife or my friends, but let's say I have 20 orders to fulfill, not enough time. I'm going to put my focus on fulfilling those orders and getting them out the door before I do anything else, because I have to hold myself to that standard. So you have to pick what standards you hold yourself to, and you have to run with them. So anyways, that was just 4 quick points about why you're not getting any sales. I hope that answers a lot of your questions. Let me know what you think down below in the comments, and I'll catch you guys later next time. Thanks, guys.